Bright Suns travelers. It's great to see everybody in the chat on this Thursday for lunch. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Thursday. Let's see, Kenneth H, welcome in. It's so good to see you. Tina McNeil, as always. Jennifer Caruso will be listening while working. Excellent, excellent. The force is strong with this. It's really great to see you guys. We appreciate you popping in for some Ahsoka. You guys know how much we love Ahsoka, and this particular episode is just kind of explosive. It's amazing. It's just a fantastic. It's just a fantastic episode. Probably the best one yet. It has the highest ratings. Of any of the episodes so far. William will be in. He'll just be a bit late. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's jump right into this, guys, because we've got a ton to cover and we don't want to take up too much of your time today. But hope everybody is doing well. Let's jump into this and do a quick recap of episode 4, which was called Fallen Jedi. Of course, all of our, we reviewed all of the episodes so far. They are on a playlist on our channel, so y'all can watch those and catch up if you want. So a recap of episode 4. After the ship Fulcrum is damaged by the fight there with the enemy, Ahsoka and company land on the planet Cetos to make repairs. Back at the Covenstead, Morgan sends Shin and Merrick to stop Ahsoka and Sabine. They know that they have landed on the planet. Huyang stays with the ship, and while Ahsoka and Sabine set out to find Morgan, they meet Shin and Merrick in the woods, and Ahsoka engages Merrick while Sabine and Shin fight it out. There are 3 really great lightsaber duels in this. Ahsoka and Merrick, not as much because Ahsoka has fought the Inquisitors many times. It's a good duel, but Ahsoka's fought Inquisitors many times, and she makes quick work of Merrick. But she defeats him and arrives at the Covenstead to face Baylan Skoll, who is much more formidable opponent. How's my sound, guys? Let me know. Oh, hey Dean, welcome in. Let me know how my sound is. By the way, she gets there. Baylan's there. They obviously are going to duel. Baylan tries to get in her head, and Ahsoka just kind of ignores him. But they do duel. Sabine arrives, interrupts the fight just as Baylan and Ahsoka are on the edge of the cliff. Their duel has put them on the edge of the cliff, and Ahsoka is like right on the edge. Ahsoka yells at her to destroy the map, because destroying the map will end the whole thing. If they can't use the map to get to Thrawn, then, it's done. Now, that also means that Ahsoka and Sabine will not be able to find Ezra. So, but Baylan, at this point, forces Ahsoka over the edge of the cliff. She falls into the water. Meanwhile, Hera has no luck convincing the Jedi Council to send reinforcements to help Ahsoka. So she sets out on her own with Jason and Carson Teva and several other pilots who think that her. Oh, sorry about the phone, y'all. I forgot to unplug it. Hey, William.
Hey.
Doing a quick recap of episode 4.
Hey, everybody.
Baylan then, after Sabine falls into the water, Baylan convinces Sabine to give him the map and come with them willingly. And promises her that she will see Ezra again. So this is a tough choice for Sabine, but she gives him the map and goes with him. So that's a big twist in the story, a big fork in the road there, and Sabine makes this choice. Hera arrives in the Ghost with the other pilots. They intercept the hyperspace ring, but Morgan Elsbeth gives the order to make the jump. And when she does, they hit some of Hera's pilots, as they make that jump, and we lose some pilots. But then Ahsoka, the big finale to this one is that Ahsoka wakes up in the Virgin Scatter, or the world between worlds. And if you watch the Clone Wars, you know about the world between worlds, the Clone Wars and or Rebels. And she awakens and she sees Anakin Skywalker standing over her. So it is an exciting, it's a really exciting episode, and that's where we're gonna jump off into episode 5. Now, episode 5, guys, is the first ever Disney Plus show to be shown theatrically. This episode was shown in theaters, I guess, because it's a big one. It's a really amazing, episode, and they did show this in theaters. I would love to have seen it in theaters. It only appeared in a few theaters across the United States. Disney Springs AMC theater was one of them. I would love to have done that, but at any rate, hey Dean, welcome in. Okay, interested to hear your take on Ahsoka's last duel with Balin. Would have thought she could have handled him. Now this, Kenneth, that's something that we need to mention. Don't let us forget to cover that. We talked a little bit about that last week, but Balin Skull is somebody that we need to do a little more, looking into his background and find out about him. We know that he was trained at the Jedi Temple. He's a disillusioned Jedi, and we know just little by little he's giving us more information about himself and what caused him to turn. He is, I guess you consider him the dark side. I don't know what side he's on at this point. The more we learn from him, the more I wonder if Balin is on Balin's side. He seems to have his own agenda. So
yeah, I think that's the key, is that he's in business for himself, and he just happens to be helping whoever advances his own cause. Which for me, episode 7, and this is just came out yesterday. For me, his actions in episode 7 just raise more questions than answers related to what is his agenda. So
absolutely.
But anyway, he's an interesting character. I don't, I've not deep dived into it, but I don't believe that he existed, prior to the show. So, what we've seen in the show is what we know about him, as far as I know. I could be completely wrong about that, but he's definitely not a name that I've seen.
I will make a note to look into Balin Skull to see if we know any more about him. He's a really interesting character, and like you said, William, the more we hear from him and the more we see of him, the more questions we have. He obviously does have his own agenda. He is not a faithful servant of Thrawn. He and his apprentice signed up with Morgan Elsbeth to advance their own agenda. That's pretty clear. We just don't know what that agenda is yet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Episode 7, some interesting twists and some really neat scenes in episode 7. So I think you'll enjoy it there, Kenneth.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, you want to jump right into this, William? Let's go ahead and get into this.
So as far as Wikipedia goes, it looks like I think we're right. Is that what we've seen of him in the show is what we know.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
He has been. I'll have to say, Balin Skull has been really, really impressive. Mostly because of his portrayal by Ray Stevenson, who is such a strong actor. Unfortunately, Ray passed away in May of this year, and he also played Vostag in Thor, and several other notable roles.
Yeah.
But he was just a kind of a no-brainer for this role. I think he's absolutely been fantastic in it, and it really breaks my heart that we won't see more of him as Balin.
Oh, agreed, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen other people, mentioned as potential, if they, keep the character going, if potential recasting, I don't know. If I had to guess, I'm going to guess we probably see his story get resolved in the finale. At least for, what, you know, that's just me guessing now.
That's a pretty tall order, I think.
Yeah, I could
I
be
don't
wrong.
know, William.
Yeah. Um,
They've built up this whole mystery around his
uh-huh.
agenda, and his
Yeah.
motive. So, and like you said, episode 7 just raises more questions. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We are going to miss Ray.
Yeah.
They did a a little tribute to Ray after the very first episode, and yeah, he was just an amazing actor. He really was such an imposing, tall, handsome man, and perfect for this role. Perfect casting. All right, you want to go ahead and jump in there, William? With the,
Got a bit of interference, so if you want to go ahead and run with it, go ahead.
oh, sorry. Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you fine. It's things going on in the house that
Okay, okay.
are running
Well,
interference.
we start off then, episode 5. We start off at the witch's covenstead, and the ghost sits down, and Hera comes out looking for Ahsoka and Sabine. Obviously, she doesn't find anybody there. She says, "I guess we missed the party." She orders Carson Teva to do a full sweep of the area. He and the pilots are still flying over the area. Jason and Chopper come out of the ship. Hu Yang's there, and he's holding Sabine's helmet. Hera, approaches him. This is really a poignant moment because Hu Yang is just standing there, and he says, "I told them to stay together, but they never listen. They never listen." So let's see. I'm having some interference, guys. I don't know if that's my internet or if it's YouTube or what. But at any rate, that's a really poignant part, and a poignant statement by Hu Yang, because he did tell them to stay together. Hu Yang is very fond of both of these ladies. Let's see. Okay, video and audio is still real. Okay, thanks so much for that, Kenneth. I appreciate that. Y'all can still hear me, okay? Okay, good. I think William had to pop off for just a minute. He's got life and the boys and all that, so he'll probably be back in just a second. But thanks so much for letting me know. Now, as at the last scene, guys, in episode 4, was Ahsoka Tano waking up in the world between worlds. Now, we talked a little bit last week about the world between worlds. It is essentially a world between the living world and death. And it's called the Virgin Scatter. But this is not the first time that Ahsoka has been here. The first time she entered the world between worlds, or the Virgin Scatter, that's what she called it. She said, "This is like a world between worlds." And so it's actually officially called the Virgin Scatter. But Ahsoka, is there. She wakes up there after she falls over the cliff, and Anakin is standing there. Oh my goodness. Hayden
so
Christensen. Cool. It is so cool. She talks with him, and he tells her that she lost a fight. Yeah. She says initially she doesn't remember, but then it comes to her, and she says Balin Skull, and he says basically, "That's good that you remember, because that means you have a chance."
Yeah.
And she said, "A chance to what?" And he said, "A chance to live." So her memory of what happened just before she ended up in the Virgin Scatter is a good thing. Anakin, tells her that. Now I'm getting some noise around me. Anakin tells her that he didn't expect to see her so soon. that she looks old. And she says, well, that tends to happen. But it's fantastic, guys, again, to see Hayden Christensen, see these, these characters that we've loved for so long in live action again is fantastic. So he tells her, that he's there to finish her training. And she says, she protests, and he says, one is never too old to learn, Snips. And so I did too. I love that. One is never too old to learn. And he calls her Snips. And of course, that tugs at all of our hearts because that's his pet name for Ahsoka when she was young. And Ahsoka says, I will not fight you, Anakin. And Anakin says, I've heard that before. Now, the quote, I will not fight you, obviously is said by Luke Skywalker to Darth Vader in Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, 1983. In this episode, Ahsoka tells Anakin the same thing, and Anakin answers, I've heard that before. So this is, another one of those great, Easter eggs that they love to give us of repeats of things that we recognize as diehard Star Wars fans. We recognize that line, I will not fight you. So he tells her, he says, well, your choice is to live or die. So he really gives her no choice. And we'll talk a little bit more as this episode progresses about what his objective is here. Yeah. What is his, and what is his purpose in being here again and in engaging her as harshly as he does, or as hard as he does in the duel and the things that he says to her. It gets real interesting, guys. So meanwhile, so they're dueling, right? And the upside down or whatever you want to call it. Meanwhile, at the Covenstead, back at the ship, Hu Yang finds the map split into two pieces. It's not repairable. He says, it's lost. It's not repairable. We can't use it to follow Morgan and her minions. So Carson has landed, and he's standing there, and he's urging Hera to check in with command. While Jason is just sitting with Chopper, and he's sitting just on the edge there of the cliff, and he's looking across the water, and he keeps telling his mom, he's interrupting his mom and Carson talking, and he says, he hears something in the water. And so, Carson is saying, we've got to, check in with command. He mentions that Senator Organa has been stalling for Hera while they complete that mission. And, of course, Senator Organa is Leia. Yeah. Leia is which this is the first mention of Leia within the Mandoverse. So, which they say Senator Organa, again, the tug of the heartstrings, because we know that Leia is trying to run interference for her with command. And she can stall only so long, Carson tells her. Well, Jason keeps saying, there's something about the water. So finally, Hera stops, and she approaches the water, and they both listen. And at first, all she hears is the waves. But then she actually hears the lightsaber duel herself. And
so it's interesting here because people, Jason is, he's got seemingly got Jedi genes. And so, he's the son of Kanan Jarrus and Harrison Dula. And so, it's, he appears to be force sensitive, which would make sense because his father is. His father was a Jedi. And so, people have been like, oh, well, now just everybody has the force now, because, that was a complaint that I saw a lot. However, there's also the train of thought that, it's like, oh, well, Sabine, has never shown any signs of being a force user, and yet she's a Padawan, and so that's been one of the other complaints about the show is it's like, oh, they're just giving the force to everybody now. I think that it's possible, and granted, they've the statement is the Force resides in all living things, and so, but I think the thought process is, I think that Jason is basically sharing it with her. I think that Jason is tapped into hearing.
Yes.
Jason can hear it,
Yes.
and I think he's basically like Bluetoothing it over to
Right.
to Hera.
I agree. I agree. So that she can hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
And so,
because he's trying to get her to hear it. I agree 100%. I think she hears it through Jason.
Yeah.
I think she hears it through Jason. Now that Jason is Kanan Jarrus's son thrills me to death, because Kanan Jarrus, guys, is one of my favorite Jedi in the whole Star Wars universe, and I would dearly love to see him. Are you listening, Disney, in live action?
Yeah.
So get the casting
now,
right.
I know Freddie Prinze Jr. has already said that he doesn't intend on doing that because he feels like it would cheapen, Kanan's sacrifice that he makes in Rebels. Spoiler alert. But
they all come back as Force ghosts. Everybody comes
a
back
little. This is true. Well, I guess I don't know. Not everybody shows up as a Force ghost, but a good number of them.
But a lot of them. I mean, we've seen. We've seen a lot of them.
There is a picture.
Flashback. They could do
There's a picture. If you look at the pilots, the little pilot space that Hera sits in, the pilot seat of the Ghost, there is a little picture on the right of the seat there, and so people are theorizing that that's a picture of Kanan, which is interesting because we don't see a lot of. It's interesting because we don't, you don't see a lot of like basically paper like material in Star Wars, like that's things true. Are digital, but anyway, so yes, so yeah, Hera's able to hear the lightsabers, over the crashing of the waves, and and I think it's neat that she does listen to him. She doesn't completely blow him off. I think him saying the lightsabers was a game changer.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And so, we cut back to the world between worlds, and Ahsoka says, "Looks like you don't have much left to offer." Anakin says, "I haven't taught you everything yet." As they're dueling, and it's at this point he changes the game. She's got her feet under her, and he literally pulls the rug out from underneath her, slashes the walkway, and she falls.
Yeah.
And so we see a whole lot of fog on screen, and we finally
fog.
We start seeing some clone troopers run by, and then we see Ahsoka, and she's young Ahsoka. And the cool thing about this is that she's the younger teenage version of Ahsoka, is actually portrayed. So Rosario Dawson is obviously older Ahsoka, but young Ahsoka is portrayed by Ariana Greenblatt, and this is not the first time that she's played the younger version of a main character who's an alien in a Disney-owned franchise. She also played the younger version of Gamora in Avengers: Infinity War, and that's that scene with the where he balances the two-sided knife on his finger,
right?
And gives
so
her
cute.
the knife, and so. Obviously some time passed and she's grown up a bit, but they're pretty neat. Really those two major franchises to be involved with there. And I've already seen rumblings that they'd like to do some sort of live action Clone Wars potentially project. But anyway,
opens up all kinds of doors.
Yeah, really cool. But Anakin comes running past her. And we realize that they are back.
I will have to say, this was a total surprise. I did not expect to see young Ahsoka. I for all the things you expect and hope for, and surmise and theorize and all that, I did not expect to see a young Ahsoka. I was thrilled to death when I realized that the figure getting up off the ground was not Rosario Dawson. it was not our Ahsoka. So
I thought it would be
really
I thought there'd be a chance of it because I assumed
Mm-hmm.
that at some point in the Flash, at some point there'd be a
Right.
flashback scene,
Right.
and so anyway, I thought we'd get it, but yeah, this is really really cool.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
And so
It's great.
a little bit of trivia here from IMDb. The first flashback sequence shown while Ahsoka is in the world between worlds is the Battle of Ryloth. This is heavily implied due to her mentioning to Anakin that it was one of their first missions together. There were also Twi'lek soldiers seen in the background. Interesting, I didn't actually see them. Another reason is that after young Ahsoka holds an injured clone trooper's hand, she tells Anakin that her squadron of clones died because she disobeyed order.
Yeah.
This was an incident that occurred in the Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 19, entitled Storm over Ryloth, from 2009.
Yeah.
The first live-action appearance of this is the first live-action appearance of Phase 1 clone troopers since Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. It's also the first time those clones were played by actors in real costumes. In Attack of the Clones, they were entirely computer generated. So really cool. But yeah, other people, I saw out there, people commenting on it. They wish that they'd been able to see some of the some of the droids, some of the Clone Wars era droids. But anyway. Ahsoka Anakin urges Ahsoka to move forward. Ahsoka questions why they're there back in one of their first missions, and saying that she doesn't, she says that she doesn't understand. Anakin says that's your problem. They continue running with clones and blasters firing all around them. They come upon a med camp, and Ahsoka holds the hand of one of the clones on the stretcher. Very very touching scene.
It is.
And it's interesting because that's something that's kind of focused on several times in the Clone Wars. The very first episode of the Clone Wars features Yoda, and he's working through, that their back's kind of against the wall, and he's just there with a very small squad of clone troopers.
That's true.
And they talk about how they're basically, they view themselves as being expendable. We're just clones. And he says, you're not just clones. You all have your own differences. You look different in the Force to me also. And so,
which is really cool.
Yeah. And
really cool statement by Yoda that they all the clones look different in the Force. That is just wonderful statement. Love that.
And then there's an episode where, man, I love him. I just completely blanked on him. The Jedi that, the Jedi that picks up Ahsoka. I don't know why Kit Fisto's name's coming to mind, but Plo Koon. There we go, Plo Koon. So there's another episode of the Clone Wars where Plo Koon and other clones are stranded, out basically in space in a ship with no power. And so anyway, again, the same discussion kind of happens. The clones are like, I don't know why you're so determined to save us. We're clones, we're expendable. And the paraphrase, but pretty close paraphrase is, not to me, you're not.
Right.
And I think he says not to me. And so anyway, it's interesting, and they're really watching the animated Clone Wars series makes it that much harder to watch Order 66 happen, because the clones had a relationship, they had a rapport, with the Jedi. They had bonds that were built, that were battle tested. They put a lot of trust in each other. And Order 66 happens, and the inhibitor ships, cause them to, turn on the Jedi, and wipe the Jedi out. It's, it's really hard to watch because you've seen, the animated series gives you basically colors in the picture, that we get in the movies.
Yes,
and it adds a ton of color to the picture. We get so much more background on different characters and everything. But anyway, it's very touching, this scene with with young Ahsoka and this clone trooper, because you can see how much she cares, about him, and the
and we get attached. We get attached, William, to the different clones. We love Rex. We love Fives. We love, there are different, because they do have different personalities, and we get attached to each one, even though they look alike. They cut their hair differently. It's very touching scene there. Ahsoka does not view them as just expendable soldiers. Obviously, she's very touched by them.
And so in Storm Over Ryloth, the episode of the Clone Wars, Ahsoka has her first command and many clones die. She feels guilty about it, that she got them killed. So she questions Anakin about it. Anakin says, "There's always a price to be paid. As a Jedi, it is our job to lead. That doesn't mean we don't make mistakes. When Obi-Wan taught me, we were keepers of the peace. But now, to win this war, I have to teach you to be a soldier." Ahsoka says, "Is that all I'll have to teach my own Padawan one day, how to fight?" Anakin says, "Do you even want a Padawan? Do you even want a Padawan?" Which I think is an interesting question for him to pose to her, because of what has transpired thus far with Sabine and Ahsoka.
Right.
Do you even want a Padawan?
Right.
He says, which is funny here. He says, teaching isn't all it's cracked up to be. And he cracks a little joke there.
And every teacher on the planet said, "Amen."
And so he says, "I'm teaching you how to leave, how to survive, and to do that, you're going to have to fight." Ahsoka says, "What if I want to stop fighting?" Anakin says, "Then you'll die." And so. Yeah. And we get this awesome scene, which would have been really cool to see on a big screen, of Anakin, starting to walk away, and we see him in the smoke,
off into the smoke and
explosions and stuff happening, and they all got to get on their way again. And as he's walking, we see a brief flash of him turn into Darth Vader. And his lightsaber's drawn to his side. We see the blue saber go to red, and he changes to Darth Vader. Then he changes back. And so really awesome scene. You could criticize various things about all the shows that have come out thus far, but there are certain scenes that we've gotten out of these different shows that are just top notch.
I agree. Yes.
You can question some of the storyline decisions, but they've done some really, really cool stuff. The fight
and this is one of them.
Yeah, this is one of them. Absolutely. The fight in Kenobi between Vader and Obi-Wan at the end, with the big rock battle was epic. We got Boba Fett on a Rancor in Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
We have gotten some epic scenes.
Amazing. We have. In my opinion, the battle, the rock fight basically between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader in one of the episodes of Obi-Wan is probably the best, my opinion, best fight duel in Star Wars history.
It's awesome.
That scene is ridiculously good. So you could throw it if you want to. Send all of your complaints to William at the Hitchhiking Bones gmail.com.
We've gotten some really, really cool scenes from these shows. So if you can't appreciate some of these moments, then I don't know. I don't know
you need
what
to turn in your Star Wars fan card.
Pretty much. So. Anyway,
good stuff, y'all. It's just good stuff. Yeah.
And so, this is another one of those really cool scenes. People were thrilled that we got Clone Wars at all, which and so this is a really cool scene. So we cut back to the Covenstead and flying, the different flying. I think Will's saying Star Wars isn't for you. Yeah, exactly. Some of these incredible scenes that we've gotten, the show may have taken turns that you didn't like or whatever, but we've been given some amazing scenes.
We have good stuff.
Hera tells Hiang that the council never changed their minds, that she just came anyway. Hera asked Hiang what Ahsoka's master was like, and I thought this was a cool question because Hiang, all the ways you could think to describe Anakin, and the word that Hiang goes with is intense. And so Jason calls on the comm and says the choppers found something. They need to fly as low as possible over the water, and it's the waves are crashing. These are, heavy, waves crashing. And so they, she's like, how low? And you need to get low.
Really low. As low as you can get.
And the next scene that we get the Siege of Mandalore. Ahsoka fights.
Oh my
gosh. We get Captain Rex, which was amazing. Nice work, Commander. We'll secure the perimeter. Captain Rex in live action. They've kind of retroactively added Captain Rex to Return of the Jedi. There at the end, he's the older guy with the beard. They made him Rex, as they've kind of weaved this story together over time. But we get Captain Rex in live action. Nice work, Commander. We'll secure the perimeter. Come on, let's go. We get Tamora Morrison's voice
from Tamora Morrison.
I wanted more. See, that's the other thing that whenever I knew that, or when I found out they were doing an Ahsoka show, I thought that Captain Rex would be in the show, but I thought he'd be Old Man Rex, like we see in Rebels. I was not expecting Clone Wars Rex. Really cool. I still hope at some point, especially if they do some sort of season 2, I hope we get Old Man Rex.
I do too.
He is one of the few that actually had contact with Ahsoka. Ahsoka was very hard to find, contrary to what we've seen.
Ahsoka and Rex survived Order 66 together.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. Yeah. Ahsoka and Rex actually survived Order 66. So
let alone all the other battles that they fought together.
older Rex is obligatory for a second season. I just don't think you can not reunite these two with Tamora Morrison. So
yeah. Oh, no problem, Kenneth.
Thanks, Kenneth.
And actually, I'll have to go in about 17 minutes myself.
Yeah.
So
we'll run through this
because I also have a work call. But awesome to see Rex. Ahsoka stops and just watches the fight as Anakin approaches, and Anakin says, "I don't know this battle." Ahsoka says, "This was a Siege of Mandalore. We had parted ways by now." And so, if you watch the last season of the Clone Wars, you know that Anakin is at everything that's going on with Anakin. The fight on Mustafar with Obi-Wan, all of that's going on. He's
it's taking place.
He's seduced by the dark side. Palpatine. Mace Windu gets loses his hands and gets electric. Force lightning thrown out the window on Coruscant.
All that's going on.
All of that's happening while Ahsoka's at Mandalore. And there have been people that theorize, if it's Ahsoka that shows up instead of Obi-Wan, potentially with Leia, is that enough to maybe move the needle? Because Obi-Wan says, Anakin says, you turned her against me, and so there have been people that theorized what if it was Ahsoka instead of Obi-Wan that shows up on Mustafar? So who knows? But anyway, that the last season, especially the last couple episodes of the Clone Wars, the animated series is just phenomenal. And it, again, it weaves things together. This Siege of Mandalore is where we see the fight between Ahsoka and Darth Maul, which is something that people are like, "Oh, I wish we'd have gotten that."
That would have been crazy.
Had some sort of ball inclusion. But anyway, back to the dialogue here.
We just want all of it. We want everybody.
We do. So Anakin says, Ahsoka said we parted ways by now. Anakin said, "You did well. You're a warrior now, as I trained you to be."
Okay, now
Anakin,
this part of the conversation, to me, it's we're getting even more serious. This part of the
yeah,
conversation is critical. So
yeah,
that's the
business
reason
picks up here. He
yes.
says, "Ahsoka, soon you'll be everything that I am.
Mm,
All the
yeah,
knowledge I possess, just as I inherited from my master and he from his. You're part of a legacy." And Ahsoka says, "But my part of that legacy is war, one of death and war." Anakin says, "But you're more than that because I'm more
yeah,
than that." Again, you know,
yeah, yeah.
it's just a lot to chew on here.
It
Um,
is a
Ahsoka says,
ton.
"You are," and Ahsoka says, "You are more Anakin, but more powerful and more dangerous than anyone realized." And it's interesting because he kind of, that point kind of gets her, or gets Anakin a
Yeah,
little bit because he says, "Is this
yeah,
what this is about? Is that what this is about?"
yeah.
Obviously hinting toward his turn. Um,
Right.
and he says,
Uh,
you've learned nothing. Back to the beginning. I gave you a choice, live or die." And Ahsoka says,
yeah,
"No." Anakin says, "Incorrect." And
yeah.
he draws his saber. They duel, and he kicks her, and she lands. Goes from young Ahsoka another thing that people were like,
Mm.
another stink that people made about this was they would have liked to have seen her aged up just a little bit because there's a significant passage of time from Ryloth to the Siege of
Right.
Mandalore,
That's
so
true.
they would
Yeah,
have they
that's
would
true.
have liked to have seen her look a little older, Ahsoka,
Mhm.
that is. So anyway, um,
I think those
so
are those are very small details
yeah,
that, you know.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
if you're gonna get hung up on everything, they can't do everything, guys.
yeah,
They give us crazy details as it is. So just
yeah,
everybody relax, calm down.
yeah,
It is what it is. It's a great scene.
yeah. Um,
Oh,
my computer just went to sleep, so I lost my notes. Yeah, if you can pick it back up there. Um,
oh, sure.
so yeah,
So
so he
yeah, this is
kicks
absolutely
young
amazing.
Ahsoka.
Uh,
Yeah, and then she comes out as old Ahsoka
he,
again in the world between
they
worlds.
start to duel again because Anakin gets frustrated with her, wrong answer again, incorrect. And he draws his saber and they duel. He kicks her, and as she literally goes from one world to back
Uh-huh.
into
Pretty cool.
the world between worlds. She lands again in the world between worlds, and Anakin, comes back at her again. So they're back in the world between worlds now, and he
Uh-huh.
says, "You lack conviction." And I think that statement kind of sums up his whole purpose in in coming to her. She
Yeah.
lacks conviction. He's trying to put the fire in her belly again.
Hmm.
As and this is a comment that I made earlier when it started, is that she's awfully just kind of benign, sort of passive almost.
Yeah.
And young Ahsoka was so fiery and so
Yeah.
sure of herself and in control, and just had that fire. And I said, that I want to see that later on.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think we're going to get some of that now. Anakin says, "You lack conviction." He walks toward her. Again, we get the change momentarily from Anakin to Vader.
Yeah.
Just fantastic, fantastic effects there. Um, you know,
Yeah.
and he turns back to Anakin, but his eyes are red as
Hmm.
they were just before he changed into, his eyes began to turn red when he turned to the dark side, and they fight again. Um, he yells at her finally, and he says, "Time to die."
Hmm.
He forces her saber from her hand, but she disarms him. She disarms him and
Uh-huh.
takes his saber from him and puts the saber to his throat.
Yeah.
So this is very pivotal. She looks at him as she's got the hold of the saber at his throat, and she tosses the saber away, toss his lightsaber now,
Uh-huh.
and she finally says, what he's been waiting for her to say. I
Mm-hmm.
choose to live. And Anakin backs away. It's a very poignant moment. He looks down, and then when he looks back up again and opens his eyes are normal again. He smiles at her, and he makes a statement. He says, "There's hope for you yet."
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there's some noise, kind of like the sound of thunder, and she turns around, and when she turns back, he's gone. And, she says, Anakin, so very, very poignant moment. Finally, Ahsoka says what I think he's been trying to get her to say. I choose to live. He's trying to get her to live. He's trying to get her to choose the path that he did not choose, basically. Again, very poignant. In the last scene, when he starts to fight Ahsoka, his light. Now, this is interesting, y'all. I'm going to have to go back and watch this again because I ran across this on IMDb. His lightsaber sounds at the very end of the fight are reminiscent of the first few notes of the Imperial March.
Yeah, and I mentioned that to you myself back whenever we watched it.
You did. You did. Pretty. Now, there's some attention to detail for you.
Yeah. Pretty neat. People have said, like, did Ahsoka's eyes change? And whenever, because she kind of like double clutches the saber, like toward, like she kind of like pushes it toward him a little bit when she goes to hold it up. And when she does, like she holds the saber up closer, like her eyes look different. But I don't think it's her eyes actually changing, like Sith eyes. I think it's just the reflection of the saber off her eyes.
And her eyes, I do too. We watched that again just to be sure.
You have to turn it up. It's pretty subtle, Dean. You're gonna have to turn the sound up quite a bit to hear it. But we see in a flashback to the Siege of Mandalore, a part shows Mandalorian firing at the clones. The footage used is from the animated series. Now, I didn't catch that part.
Yeah. Now, I thought that I saw that, but I did not go back to confirm it. And that was, again, a lot of these details.
Never mind. I take that back. I did see that because they had the spiked Maul helmets. Yeah.
Yes.
Because there was that the group of Mandalorians that had basically fallen in line under Darth Maul's rule. So never mind. I did get that.
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool deal there. So after Anakin disappears, Ahsoka is just kind of slowly enveloped in water. So she's no longer in the world between worlds. She's just kind of slowly enveloped in water.
Yeah.
And we see, from underneath the water, looking up, we see the light from Hera's ship, comes down. A female pilot, which I think is just kind of cool. That the female pilot jumps into the water and pulls her to the platform of the Ghost. So she, Carson Teva's there to help her pull her on board, and he says, "We got her." He radios Hera and says, "We got her." So, on board the Ghost, and outside, we're back kind of at the Covenstead where the Ghost lands again. Ahsoka awakens, and Huyang comes in and welcomes her back and says, "You really have Jason to thank for." You might have been lost had it not been for Jason. And she seems
it was weird to see her without her headband.
Yeah,
the costume department did an incredible job. With the makeup and everything. But it was like, whoa! Like I was like, she's not wearing her headband.
It's the first time we've ever seen Ahsoka without her headband. It is, and the makeup was just incredible. It was just seamless. We saw her without her. It's the only time we see her so far without her headband, but it's really, really cool. She's in her sock feet too, which is
pretty funny.
Which is really recovering Ahsoka. But at any rate, she goes outside and, she gives Jason a hug and tells him, thank you. And she's surprised and she seems really pleased. And, when he tells her that he heard her fighting, that he heard her, the lasers, the lightsabers noise. And she's like very intrigued by the fact that's how he tracked her down. Ahsoka is noticeably wearing a white cape when she comes off the Ghost. Ahsoka has always worn grays and darker colors, but she is noticeably wearing a white cape. She continues to wear white in subsequent episodes, as if the experience in the world between worlds has changed her somehow. It's been a spiritual experience, and William and I kind of liken this to Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. He changes from Gandalf the Grey to Gandalf the White. We kind of get Ahsoka the White here, I think.
Agreed. And also too, this look is more in line with what we see in the last episode of Rebels, where she has that that big like staff with the circle on the end.
Right, it is.
And so her look is more along those lines after this encounter. It is. And so I think 100%. The change of her outfit, the colors and everything, is definitely symbolic of her having gone through an encounter that changed,
gone into and returned from again for the second time, the world between worlds. So, so through the Force, she relives Sabine's scene with Balin. She kind of reaches out, through the Force as she's done before to try and see what happened. And she sees that Sabine willingly went with him, that he she gave Balin the map and went with him. And she tells Hera that Sabine is alive, but finding her is not that simple, because she realizes, they have no way to make that jump. Carson comes and reports to Hera that the fleet is on its way, but they're not coming to help. Back on the Ghost, Mon Mothma orders Hera and Ahsoka to return to command, but they are, they're going to decide if her command is to be permanently suspended, and because she disobeyed, she disobeyed orders by coming here. And so, Ahsoka, meanwhile, outside has seen the Purrgil in the sky, and she goes to tell Hera that she knows how to follow Sabine. So, she approaches the Purrgil in the Fulcrum. She, gets into the ship and approaches the Purrgil. She's hoping that the Purrgil, she knows that they can jump, obviously, can make that hyperspace jump. And so she goes out on the wing of the plane to talk to the largest Purrgil. Now, I think this is so cute. So
it is really, really cool.
Fun scene. Ahsoka can talk to animals. We saw this.
And I got to jump.
She was a toddler.
I'll pass it back over to you.
Okay.
I've got a 1 o'clock. Well, I'm going to stay forth with you.
Finish this out. Thanks, son. So bye. So Ahsoka can speak to animals. And we saw this, she was a toddler in the animated series Tales of the Jedi. If you haven't watched that, it's the very, very first episode of Tales of the Jedi. And so we know that she can, it's part of her Force talents, I guess, or her, it's a Force thing, as some Jedi have, the ability to heal and, different things. Ahsoka can talk to animals. So she goes out on the wing of the Fulcrum and talks to this Purrgil. Now, all of the scenes with the Purrgil guys are just really cool because they are such neat animals, I think. So meanwhile, Carson Teva is attempting to delay the fleet. He's trying to stop them. he knows that Ahsoka's trying to, talk to the Purrgil, maybe, convince them to take her, to where Thrawn and Ezra are, where, the enemy has already, gone in that hyperspace ring. So, Carson is attempting to delay the fleet, and so the commander of the ship, demands that he tell her, where they are, and he says you need to wait, you need to stop, halt your approach to the planet until I get word from Hera that her mission is complete. And of course, the commander says, well, that's just the problem. Hera does not have a mission. She is here. She's disobeyed orders by coming here. So he stalls for time. But it's kind of funny exchange here when the commander demands to know what Hera is doing and threatens him with court martial. He says, okay, but you're not going to believe me. So that was kind of a fun moment there. But as all this is going on, Carson's trying to stop the fleet from kind of interfering with Ahsoka's talking to the Purrgil. We cut back to Jason and Hera on board the Ghost, and Jason says, Mom, is she really going to talk to them? Meaning the Purrgil. And Hera says, well, that's the idea. And Jason said, well, it's like the stories you told me, how the whales took Ezra and the bad guys far, far away. And Hera says, yes, and they saved us. And so it's just a neat, mother-son exchange there. Obviously, Hera has shared with Jason about everything that happened, in that very last episode of Rebels, and how Ezra, made the sacrifice to make sure that Thrawn could not do any more damage. So Hera has shared that with Jason. Meanwhile, Ahsoka does in fact communicate with the Purrgil. It's a really cool, exchange there. She does go back in. Well, first of all, she kind of pecks on the window of the cockpit there and tells Hu Yang to move the fulcrum inside the Purrgil's mouth. And Hu Yang says, well, you better come back inside if we're going to do that. So back inside, Hu Yang asked her, where are we going? And Ahsoka tells him, she said, I have no idea. I have no idea where we're going. Let's see. Yeah, I can speak whale. Okay. Right. It's true. It's a Dory thing. Yeah, Dory can speak whale. That's true. That's true. I can speak whale. That's funny, Dean. But yeah, so let's see. Let me find my place again and kind of following my notes here so I don't leave anything out. But Hu Yang says, but you don't know where we're going. I mean, Hu Yang's like panicked. He says, but it could go anywhere. And Ahsoka smiles here. I love the fact that Ahsoka smiles. I think it's one of the first times that we see her smile in this series. And she says, I know, but it's better than going nowhere. So you can say that this encounter in the World Between Worlds with Anakin has really maybe put that sense of adventure, has reawakened that in her, and I absolutely love it. So Hera comes over the comm and tells the commander of the fleet, I'd move out of there if I were you. Because she knows the Purrgil are, about to make that jump. She knows that they're gonna help and take Ahsoka to the other universe. And so the Purrgil, began to fly past the New Republic ships, and they're graceful, and they have the tentacles, and it's just, they're huge, they're enormous. And the commander and her crew, and it cuts then to the pilots, and the New Republic pilots, and they're all just amazed by these huge Purrgil, that are moving past them. It's just a really pretty sequence there, and they're just kind of in awe. And Ahsoka then comes, across on the comm and promises Hera. She says, "I'm sorry you can't, that you can't come with me." And Hera says, "Well, Jason's too young to, to jump between galaxies." And but Hera promises, or Ahsoka promises Hera that she will find them. Meaning Sabine and Ezra. And so just a very, just a lot of emotion here. The music is fantastic, very dramatic, and and then they jump, the Purrgil jump, and that's the very last scene. So just an amazing scene. It's no wonder they put this guys in theater, and this was a theatrical release. This scene, I think that I think they just, this whole thing, they wanted this to be on the big screen because there was so much emotion, going back to the Clone Wars and the Night of a Thousand Tears on Mandalore. There was just so much emotion that this was, and this beautiful scene with the Purrgil. Dean, I agree 100%. I think that's why they released it in theaters. They knew it was a good one. so really cool. This is the first Disney Plus episode of any kind to be released theatrically. Also, in the World Between Worlds scene, where young Ahsoka traveled back in time to the siege of Mandalore, Ahsoka is wearing the same design of Mandalorian outfit from the Clone Wars, Season 7. It's called Old Friends Not Forgotten, from 2020, and the same style headband as Bo-Katan, but with no illumination. So I love that they pulled those pieces, from her old costuming. Costuming for this has been amazing, just like with The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan. Shauna Tripsick, again, shout out to her. She's the costume designer. Fantastic detail there. So we love this one. This was an amazing episode. So many pieces to it, for Star Wars fans. So much attention to detail. We get to see Rex, we get to see Anakin, the World Between Worlds. Just some really, really good stuff. So an amazing episode. Recommendations, on Disney Plus. Again, watch Master and Apprentice, a special look at Ahsoka. It's kind of a little bit of a behind the scenes look at Ahsoka and how she came to be, as far as in live action. It's only 8 minutes long, but it has has Dave Filoni and even George Lucas, Rosario Dawson. It's really, really cool. Master and Apprentice, a special look at Ahsoka. Also, Ahsoka Essential episodes are grouped on Disney Plus. Clone Wars, Rebels, Tales of the Jedi. Those pieces of those series that we feel like are essential to understanding Ahsoka. Many of them you may have already, already watched. Just really, really good stuff. The first mention, this is the first mention of Kanan Jarrus in live action Star Wars. Kanan, as we said earlier, was voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr. In the animated series Rebels, and was one of the main characters. Was the Jedi Master, was Ezra's Jedi Master as well, and Hera's husband. So Kanan is not predicted to appear in this series given his death in Rebels, but we hope that he might later as a flashback. It would be really cool to see him appear, as a flashback, and they've done a lot of flashbacks in this. So this also marks the first time that Hayden Christensen is seen wearing the Clone Wars armor that Anakin Skywalker wears during Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So attention to detail, guys. They really look at, even in the animated feature, The Clone Wars, the costuming was amazing, which is not something you expect anybody to say about an animated feature, but I've said that before. So they go back and, Hayden Christensen is seen wearing the armor that he wore in the Clone Wars, which is really, really cool. Let's see. Okay, let me wrap it up here, guys. Again, last little piece of trivia. Captain Rex is seen for the first time in live action, and this is the first time that the character has been voiced by Tamara Morrison. He was voiced by D. Bradley Baker in the animated series The Clone Wars. So that's pretty neat. Another first. It's the first time we've seen Captain Rex in live action, and he was voiced by Tamara Morrison, which is really cool. I would love to get more of Captain Rex later. I hope that we do. It's good to see Ahsoka smile, and we get to see more of that in subsequent episodes. So look forward to that. Again, I like the music for this series. It's very good, but I still wish Ahsoka's theme was a bit more powerful. Kevin Kiner did the music for this series, and he also did the music for the Clone Wars. So it's obvious that Dave Filoni wanted to keep that continuity and have Kevin Kiner do the music for it. But I still wish Ahsoka's theme was a little more powerful, a little more unique, I guess. So IMDb rating is currently 9.3 out of 10 for this episode. So people really, really love this episode. You do need to watch that special, Dean. It's I think you'd really enjoy it. It's a really good one. Just some quick channel news here, guys, and then we'll let you go. I have a Walt Disney World trip coming up in 30 days. Oh my goodness, 30 days to my Walt Disney World trip. And I'm really looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing you, Dean, everybody down there, and hopefully some more friends while I'm there. It's going to be an extended trip. I will be there for 3 weeks, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I'll be doing a lot of work on the channel, a lot of live streams, got some planning to do for that. So that's coming up. Again, thank you to all of our new subscribers. We really appreciate it. We picked up a lot of new subscribers while I was at Walt Disney World last week. I was there for just a few days and picked up a lot of new subscribers. I think our shorts, some of the shorts that I've put up on YouTube have brought us in some new subscribers. So thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, we so appreciate it, and hope that you enjoy our content. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. We're working our way to 1,000 subs. We're only 7 subs away from 900, so getting closer. And ring that bell so that you know when we post a new video or short or do a live stream. New vlog on Saturday. I will post our Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party video from last year. We went in 2022. Chose not to go this year. Probably won't. In fact, I think most of them are sold out except the one on November 1st. But I am going to be going to the Christmas party this year, so I'm really looking forward to that. Also, be sure to join us for our weekly show, which is Hitchhiker Chat. It's on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to join us for that. We look for for those. We have a lot of fun. Talk Disney, Star Wars, Marvel. We love all of it. So thanks so much to our channel ghost host moderators. Thanks so much for all you guys do to keep the channel family friendly, and watch out for that in our chat. We appreciate you so much. And a big extra special thanks to our channel members, Mike Wheeler, Tina McNeil, Brian's West Coast Disney Adventure, Mike 88 NYC, and Texas Takes. These are folks that you see in the chat. Their names are in green, and they choose to bless us every month with a donation to just help us with the channel and expenses, and we so appreciate that. We appreciate the special support. So gonna wrap it up here, guys. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can email us at thehitchhikingbones@gmail.com. If you'd like, to comment, leave a note in the comments below as well, or email us. We love to get snail mail as well. So you can find all that information on our channel in our about section. And again, thanks for being here, guys. Yes, I am looking forward. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Smash that like button for us, guys, by all means. And we appreciate you. Just appreciate you watching. We love, all this new Star Wars content that we're getting. It's really been fantastic. And I think we've got one more episode to come. Now we'll be reviewing, same time next week, we will be reviewing episode 8, but we've got one more episode coming of Ahsoka this coming Tuesday. So we'll see how they choose to wrap it up. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't see how we won't get a season 2 of this. I think we're absolutely, going to get a season 2. So, but yeah, thanks so much. Everybody. Thank you for that, Dean. And I can't think of a thing else, guys. So we will see you hopefully Tuesday night on Hitchhiker Chat, and next week we will review episode 6, which is also really, really good. So look forward to that. And at the Hitchhiking Bones YouTube channel, there is always room for one more. So please hurry back. May the force be with you. Have a great day, everybody.